I have a confession to make. I like grief. I know that sounds wrong. Why would anyone like the feeling that keeps them awake at night? The feeling that makes a room feel empty even when it's full of people. I'm not saying I enjoy pain. I'm saying I admire what grief means. Because grief only exists where love once lived. Chapter 1. We fear grief. Nobody wants to grieve. We spend our lives trying to avoid it. We distract ourselves. We stay busy. We tell ourselves to move on, as if grief were a disease, as if healing meant forgetting. But what if we've misunderstood grief? What if grief isn't the enemy? What if it's proof that something beautiful happened? Chapter 2. Love leaves an echo. Imagine a world where nobody ever grieved. Someone dies and nobody cries. A friendship ends and nobody cares. Your childhood disappears and you feel nothing. Would that really be better? Or would it simply mean we never loved in the first place? Grief is love with nowhere to go. It's the echo left behind after someone or something has gone. And echoes only exist because a voice once filled the room. Chapter 3. We grieve more than people. Most people think grief begins with death, but that's only one kind of loss. We grieve the future we imagined, the career we never had, the friendship that slowly faded, the version of ourselves that no longer exists. Sometimes, the hardest person to mourn is the person you used to be, and no funeral is ever held for them. Chapter 4. Why I like grief. People think happiness is what gives life meaning. I disagree. Grief reminds us that life mattered, that someone mattered, that a dream mattered. Without grief, love would become ordinary. Imagine reading your favorite book, knowing you'd never finish it. Wouldn't every page suddenly become more precious? That's what grief teaches. Because life ends, every moment becomes valuable. Chapter 5. The Cost of Love. There's an invisible contract every time we love someone. It says, one day, one of us will have to let go. Yet we sign it anyway, because love is worth the risk. The pain of grief isn't the opposite of love, it's the price of it. And maybe it's a price worth paying. Chapter 6. You never get over it. People often say, it gets easier. Maybe. But I don't think grief disappears. It changes. It becomes quieter. It sits beside you instead of crushing you. You stop surviving it and start carrying it like an old photograph, not heavy enough to stop you from walking, but never light enough to forget. So, do I like grief? Not because it hurts. I like it because it reminds me that I loved, that I cared, that something in this enormous universe mattered enough to leave a permanent mark on my heart. Maybe grief isn't the opposite of life. Maybe grief is one of the greatest proofs that we truly lived. So if you're grieving today, don't rush to silence it. Listen to what it's trying to say, because sometimes grief isn't asking you to let go, it's asking you to remember. And perhaps that's the most beautiful thing about being human.